So speaking of the towns, the Yale towns, the gas towns, as you look at this city particularly, and we see Gastown revitalizing slowly but coming back, slowly but coming back. And I think as a non-investor today, gee, I wonder if I should be buying in Gastown now, because in 10 years, I think it's going to be quite the hot spot. Well, how do you evaluate that?
Well, I think we've seen a huge increase in value right now. Be extremely cautious right now, particularly if you're in the pre-sale market. I'm not sure that, first of all, we don't know whether every developer is going to be able, with the rising cost, to produce the product that he thought maybe 2 years ago. Construction costs are soaring. That's why, for instance, one of the big developers in Victoria backed out of development and gave all their deposit back. And also, I think at the end of a cycle, cycles are usually 4 to 7 years. We're 5.5 years into this. We may have a way to go, but we hear stories everywhere. There is still multiple offers in this area, and then in another area there is fewer activities. But overall, the market is extremely strong and very expensive. I recommended Yaletown and Gastown in the year 2000, when suites were $100,000 and rented for $1,200, and nobody bought. Today, that same small 500 square foot suite is at $300,000. I don't want it, because now from there to go to 400 is a leap of faith. In the meantime, I can't make a cash flow. I'd rather go to the Fraser Valley for my investment. We are talking investment. For my home, the only criteria I have is my right arm is in the fireplace, my left arm, I have a glass of wine, and say, this is me. And whether I overpay, doesn't matter. Right?
And yet, as you mentioned, inflation, the price of martinis are even going up.
It is.
In case you didn't notice, it used to be $5 you could get a martini, and the trendy ones now are $15.
Well, people always say, yeah, but TVs are cheaper. No, they're not. The best TV is still $10,000, but it just deflates faster.
How do you feel about buying without a down payment? Some of the, they're encouraging us to do many things. Buying without a down payment.
I do it all the time. And what we teach is that you can buy an apartment block today without down payment. And I'm not talking about 20 years ago or in Tallahassee, Florida. I talk last year in BC. It is possible, but not in Vancouver. I wouldn't buy an apartment building in Burnaby at a 5% cap in a building that's 100 years old, which I can't make any sense of that. That is an investment. I must expect to be even higher. We have sold buildings with a 3.5% cap rate, and a cap rate means the return on investment before mortgage servicing and before repairs. And in a 100-year-old building, you're going to have a lot of them. So I wouldn't touch them, but I would touch a building in Kamloops or in some of those areas where you have an 11% cap, where the rental values are low, you have good returns are possible. The no money down for the first-time buyer is a good thing. The Royal Bank offers you a 100% mortgage. They give you 95% insured, then the other 5% they kick back to you. So the cost is about 1.5% of the price that you buy. The first-time buyer should not be frightened, but should learn some things. If you buy a condo, learn the basics. Don't buy over a garage. Don't buy over the entrance, because if you have your suite 3 floors up and it's all night long someone saying, hey, is Jack home, and ringing the bell, you want to do some thinking about it.
Don't buy over a garage. Don't buy over an entrance. What about near a school?
Well, school, it depends if you have children or not. But yes, there's lots of noise. Or in the back, if you're over the garbage, and at night, in the morning, you have the truck coming. Think a little bit about it. The elevators make noises, if you're close to the elevator. And again, anybody who wants to have a little story, and I'd be happy to send it to them. We have a first-time buyer seminar coming up on March 18 at the Italian Cultural Center, and we're going to do 7 secrets for the first-time buyers. There's a number of ways to buy without down payment. One little complicated one is you could borrow $20,000 from the bank, put it in your RRSP, then under the registered homeownership plan rules, you can take the $20,000 out, pay back the bank. You have triggered a tax refund because of the $20,000, or a couple could do $40,000, and use that $6,000 to $12,000 as a down payment. It's one few areas where you can have your cake and eat it, and then you owe your own RSP. Over the next 15 years, you have time to pay it back to yourself.
What if you do not have an RRSP at all? Can you put 20 grand in as the starter and still do it?
The bank will lend it to you because it's total secure. That you borrow it from the bank, it goes to an RSP, it has to be in there for at least 90 days, and you have to be a first-time buyer, you and your spouse, so have to be a first-time buyer. None of you can have owned, a personal residence. And then you can take it out and trigger it without taxes under the registered homeownership rules. I'm just saying it's one way to perhaps do it, and you trigger the tax refund, and that becomes your down payment.
How do you feel about partnerships? People going into partnerships with strangers, be it you're buying a big log home in Whistler, buying into a complex of some sort?
I have a 4-day course, and in the course, on the second day, I have a joint venture agreement. And I make the students everybody stand up. And these are grown-up people. I make them put their hand over their heart. And I say, I promise, Ozzie, I will read this thing cover to cover. And if I don't read it, as I drive along, little Aussies will appear and say, read the darn thing. People
I pledge
don't
allegiance to the flag?
Absolutely. You must read
no,
the
not
darn
that one.
People do, though. First of all, partnerships can work as long as we understand what's your propensity to risk and what's mine. What's going to happen if things go wrong? Who has signing authority? You know, what are the recourses we have? Had I had legal advice? Always get a partnership in writing, even if it's with your brother. Not big, just do you want to have any trouble down the road. You know, sit down and work out all the things that could go wrong and all the things that could go right. And then a partnership can be a good thing. What I don't like is the joint ownership in a lot of the resorts today. And I know I'm the lone voice in the wilderness. I dislike hotel-type investment. We've had a lot of hotels in this city where they only had one thing in common, whether it was the Lakeside Inn in Penticton or the Granville Island Hotel or the Delta Mountain Inn. They all had one thing in common. The investors lost all of their money, not some of their money. And a lot of the hotel, people understand a hotel investment is not really a real estate. You're buying the deal that was made between the developer and the hotel operator. So you might be responsible for, you know, the parking area at performance and the restaurant performance. You didn't bargain for that. The other thing, the quarter share, I'm not enamored with. Now, a lot of people saying, hey, we've done very well at Bear Mountain and at Whistler, but I would prefer something that I own myself. If necessary, buy it with 3 other friends and have that joint venture agreement, because the common area costs in the quarter shares are enormous. When you come to resale, they're very hard to finance and so on, right?
There are buildings going up in this city right next door here, which is a hotel and apartment combination. Sounds very good to me. When you're a bit older, you can call down for room service.
As long as they're separated, as long as they own my suite and have nothing to do with the operation of the hotel.
Right, I understand.
That has to be totally clear. That my common area costs do not support either the hotel or the hotel's mine. It has to be totally separated. A hotel room doesn't do that. Whether it's, you look at a lot of the hotels in town, several of them are in litigation, where the owners in the hottest real estate market in the last 6 years haven't seen any appreciation. We had some hotels who actually owned the lobby and kept the lobby, and you as the owner then have to pay whatever the developer wants to charge for the rental of the lobby. And so I'm just looking at, look at the documents, have them read over by a competent lawyer, you know, a real estate lawyer, and then do this thing you want. But whatever you do, number one, own it outright. In a resort, have daily rentals. If you can, that's the biggest appreciation always.
Daily rentals.
Daily, if you can rent.
When you buy a hole in the ground, and by that I mean it's still a hole in the ground, one day it will be Shangri-La.
Right.
If you have 1.7 million.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a beautiful tower, I know, and a tall tower. They've just added a floor. There's now 61 floors. What should you think about there?
On a pre-sale, again, I have a checklist I'd be happy to send to everybody. But first of all, who's building it? Can they complete it? So a major developer, you have probably no problem whatsoever. But do you own the parking spot or are you leasing it? Do you own your locker or are you leasing it? Is the square footage of the balcony included in your unit? Because I think that we do that in Hong Kong. We shouldn't be doing that here. What's the quality of kitchen cabinets and so on?
Right, and you also walk in and you see the display suite. Construction costs go up. Is there a guarantee?
That's right.
All those beautiful marble counters, the stainless steel, will that be there for sure as construction costs go up? Many T's to cross, many I's to dot.
No question.
Forget about location, location, location. Can we get this on your website?
Yes, it's still there. I bought back the books from my publisher, and we're issuing it. The latest book is actually 2001, but it has all the basic principles of what I teach.
Okay, if basics were really basic, you wouldn't have to write about them.
Yeah, exactly.
I thank you. Nice to see you again. Come back, and your home buyer seminar is coming up.
Thanks.
Great. Ozzie Jurock. Forget about location, location, location.